Welcome to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch and would like to purchase it at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at JazzTime.com. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Patek Philippe Calatrava date sweep seconds in yellow gold, reference 5227J-001 with a white dial or ivory dial. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history, then talk to you about where this Calatrava stands in the lineup of other Calatravas, then talk to you about the case bezel dial bracelet movement, finally try it on and give you my thoughts. So let's start with Patek. The Patek's been around for a very long time. I want to say something like 170 years. It's a very old company. It's not the oldest company. There's older ones like Vacheron and a few others, but it is a very old company. It's older than Rolex and it's older than Audemars Piguet, although not that much older than Audemars Piguet. Okay, and of course, Patek Philippe, I would say, and I think most people would agree, that the three top watch brands are Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, and Rolex. Maybe throw Richard Mille in there. Um, and why do I say that? Well, those are the watches that are traded most heavily on the gray market. Now, you might agree, you might not agree if that they're the best. That's kind of subject up to debate, but there's no debate as to whether these watches are most heavily traded. At least these three brands are. Not necessarily in that order, but those are the three most heavily traded watches. And the reason is because they hold their value the best. It's easily understandable for a dealer and an end user to know where this watch should be priced at. Okay, as far as the history of Patek, that would take forever to go through, and actually I don't know it all anyways. So all I can do is tell you it's a very old company. It's one of the best, if not the best, and that's a little bit about Patek. Now, for the Calatrava itself, it's been out since 1932, so that makes almost 100 years. The Calatrava itself basically is just the time and date only. Sometimes the date, as in the date, but sometimes just the time. So that means 1 through 31 and the time. Sometimes three hands, sometimes only two hands. Sometimes hour marker, sometimes hour, minute, and seconds. So, but they're non-complicated watch. Okay, and it's not always, but mostly it's a dress watch. Although some of their other ones, like their new 6007, is kind of a blur between sports and dress. Okay, but at any rate, their Calatrava, it's simple, it's elegant, it's been their starter watch for a very long time. But even Patek Philippe's starter watch, Calatravas, are starting at like $40,000, and I think their more simple ones with no date are like 30,000. So the starting point of a Patek Philippe, even their most simple watch, the Calatrava, you can think of their Calatrava as like the Rolex version of a Datejust. Even their Patek Philippe's Calatravas are starting at you know the same price that Rolex's gold watches are starting at. So it's Patek Philippe is just another level, really. Okay, so that's for okay, and then where does this watch stand in the lineup of other ones similar? Now, Patek Philippe has been making other Calatravas. I would say that this line of Calatrava is time and date. Okay, so the predecessor to this watch, the reference that you see in front of you here is a 5227. They make it in rose, yellow, and white gold. This one is in yellow gold, and it was produced approximately 2015 or 2013, I think, until right now, which is 24. So it's had a good run. It's been here for 10 plus years, and it's possible that they change it soon because they use each reference for about 10 to 15 years. The reference before this one was a 5296, and it was from 2005 until 2013. So, and then before that, it was a 5196. I don't know how long it was run for, probably 8, 10 years as well. Okay, so that's the lineage of this watch. And it's at the end of its life cycle, but they've still been only producing these variations, just rose, yellow, white, and in one dial color each. So it's not like they made tons of different ones, tons of different variations. Okay, anyways, that's a little bit about where this watch stands in the lineup, and this having the date makes it the most complicated Calatrava um, in their Calatrava line, because anything more complicated, like when you add a moon phase or any annual calendar or chronograph, anything like that, it goes into their complication section. This is not their complication. Just time and date is not complication. It's just a Calatrava. Okay, and as I said, they make other ones like a sporty looking one, not a sports one, but sporty looking one. Okay, so that's where it stands in the lineup. Now let's go ahead and start talking about the watch itself. Let's talk about the case. This watch has a 39 millimeter case. Now, if you compare it to its predecessor, which is the 5296, it looks very similar to this one. The 5296 was 38 millimeters. They made it 1 millimeter bigger, so this 5227 is at 39 millimeters. Okay, and what else has changed since we're looking at the case? Let's look at it on its side profile. Now, the side profile is a very comfortable thin 9 millimeters, and I believe the 5296 was very similar to that. But what is different is and you might not even notice it without looking at this video or looking at the pictures carefully, is that look at the side of the lugs here. You'll notice that they're kind of hollowed out. They kind of had this interesting hollowed out portion on the lugs. Now, they did not have this on the earlier 5296. They have it just on this version, which came out just like a year ago, or sorry, 10 years ago. And I think it makes the watch look much more modern, much more sleek, and it's a very beautiful. They could have left it flat, but it creates a beautiful look to it, if you ask me. Okay, so that is a major difference, and you might not notice that right away. Okay, that is the case. Now let's talk about the bezel. You know, the bezel, not a whole lot to talk about. It's just a a very thin bezel, not a super thin bezel, but it doesn't have any octagon. It's a domed bezel, and there's no fluting like in a Rolex. There's no hobnail. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Calatrava is also coming with a hobnail. They have a hobnail line, which sort of kind of looks like their version of fluted bezel for Rolex, except this is like a hobnail. It's a reference 6119. And by the way, if you like to buy that, we also have it on sale, or any one of them on our website at jazztime.com. But at any rate, this one does not have the hobnail bezel. And why would you want one without the hobnail? Well, there can be a case written for both. I mean, the thing is with the hobnail, it looks very beautiful, but if you ding it, hit it, it will irreparably damage the bezel, because you cannot polish a hobnail bezel. But whereas in this situation, and also over time, the hobnail bezel can kind of wear down. It can kind of be not so sharp and not look as beautiful. I've seen that. Especially on the older hobnail Calatravas. It kind of looks worn down from years of use, kind of just wear down the metal. And but in this situation, the 5227 or any of these domed or smooth bezel ones, you don't have that issue. The bezel, yeah, it can get scratched, but it's easily polishable, and it can look like new without any issue. Okay, and so yeah, that's the bezel. Okay, now let's move on to the strap here. Now it comes with this beautiful brown strap that you see. It's actually called a shiny alligator with square scales, machine stitched like hand in chocolate brown, with this prong buckle or belt buckle or pin buckle, whatever you want to call it. I think it's actually I actually like the pin buckle more than I like the deployant buckle, because it's more secure. It's easier to take on and off. And actually, I like the look of it. So, actually, I guess I like the deployant as well. But I definitely like the pin buckle. It gives it a very classic look, kind of like a belt. Okay, and that just but anyways, so and of course you can actually change the strap very easily. It has a quick release, so you can change it to whatever color. Okay, let's talk about the dial here. Now the dial is going to be. Now, when I look at this, I just think it's white. But on the official Patek website, it says ivory lacquered. They say lacquered because, there's two ways to make a dial. You can either lacquer it, which means you paint it on, or you can enamel it, which means you bake it on. Baking it on is a lot more work. They only do that for their really expensive watches, such as their grand complications. And even then, I don't know if they do it on every one. This is a very laborious process. and they only reserve that for their most special watches. So, but that doesn't, it's not to say that having a lacquered dial watch is bad or is cheap in any way at all. It's still very beautiful. It's just more beautiful if it's enameled, that's all. And so, okay, and it's a lot more costly. And to keep the cost down, since it's an entry level watch for Patek, that is, you got to keep it as lacquered. Okay. Now the hour markers are still gold, and that hasn't changed between the previous generation, the 5296, and this one. But you'll notice that the hour markers they're not exactly rectangular like they were on previous generation. They're kind of like they get skinnier as they come toward the center. It's a kind of a small thing that you have to really look at to notice it, but that does happen. And if you look at the hands, they're actually the same from the previous generation, which is not a bad thing. I'm not sure what you'd call these. They're kind of like triangles, I guess, or sword hands. I'm not sure. But anyways, the hands I think are very sleek and beautiful. And of course, you have the date right here. So they have other versions. I think there's a 5119, I think it is, with no date. So that if you like one with no date, or not, it's not the 5119. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at what the date are. They have another version with a date or time only, and I'm trying to find that one here on our website. If I get the number, anyways, okay. So, oh yeah, here it is. It's they have a 5196 instead of a 5296. So the 5296 is automatic like this. This one, and they also make a 5196 that does not have any date, just as time only. But anyways, we're talking about the date ones. So let's go ahead and move on to the movement here. Now the movement has changed between this one that you see here and the older version. This is a caliber 26-330SC self-winding movement. And what is interesting about this, I could tell you some of the specs, but I think they would no offense, but they might go over your head because they kind of go over my head and it doesn't really matter anyway. So what I'll do is to tell you the difference in what it actually does. So, because most of us here are not watchmakers, and if you are a watchmaker, you're probably not watching this video, right? Most of us just want to learn about the watch, and so anyways, I'm going to tell it to you. So the 330 movement, I believe it's the same one that they use in their Nautilus, the 5811. In fact, I'm gonna fact check that right now on the website, and when the difference between this movement and the older movement is that the new movement, oh yeah, I just checked it, it is, by the way, 330SC. The 330SC movement, the only difference is that it has hacking seconds. That means when you pull the crown out, the second hand actually stops. Now, on the previous generation, the 5296, that was produced between 2005 and 2013, when you pull the crown out, the second hand actually does not stop. And that movement was 26-324 instead of 330. It had no hacking second. Now, why they would produce something with no hacking second is beyond me. I mean, I don't know. But they stopped doing that. So that's not really an issue anymore. That way, when you set the time, it's much more accurate. And that's really the only difference. Yeah, I know there's some small differences, but whatever. It's still a beautiful movement, the old and the new one, but the new movement is a little bit more accurate to set and easier to set, and as you would expect. Okay, at any rate, let's move on to try it on. So I'm 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. And my thoughts are, well, I'm a huge fan of Patek Philippe. My three favorite brands, as you could imagine, are the three best brands. Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, and Rolex, not necessarily in that order. And you could throw Richard Mille in there if you have $200,000 to $300,000 to spend. But these are really the best brands. They make the best watches at the best price. I know it's a lot of money, but considering their competition, they really do make the best looking watch. And the Calatrava is a great place, I think, for people to start. They don't have to spend 50, 60, 70, 100,000 to buy a complicated watch, but it still achieves the same purpose, which is to wear a beautiful watch in a dress fashion. So this kind of watch is not the watch that you wear when you're, out wearing jeans, t-shirt, this kind of thing. This is the kind of watch you wear with a suit, with a, button-up shirt, a blazer, something when you're dressed very nice to work even. Doctors, lawyers, etc. wear this watch. It's not a sports watch, it's a dress watch. It's meant to be that way. And I really think when it comes to dress watch, there's no There's nobody close. Patek Philippe is just really number one. And Audemars is doing a great job with his code 1159. So, but nobody's taking Patek Philippe off, beating them. They're the number one. With that said, what do I like about this one? Well, I forgot to mention when I talk about the movement, the watch is automatic. They make manual wind ones, which you have to wind it. I think is a little bit not so great, because then obviously you have to wind it. It's kind of a headache, and you can forget to wind it, you know. So, but anyways, and I forgot to tell you when we're talking about this movement, you know, it has this case opener, not case opener, but the case that you can flip it open and close so you can see the movement. You can block it if you don't want. I think it's a pretty cool feature. I don't know if the old one had that. I'm not sure. I have to check that. But this one does. Okay, anyways, so this, I think for the price and what this one does, it packs in a lot of cool things. It's a dress watch. It has its automatic movement, so you don't have to change it. The 39mm size is perfect. It's a little bit smaller than the usual 40, but it's bigger than the too small 36. It has a great movement, which you can see by just simply closing and opening this case back. And the dial is nothing fancy, but it's still beautiful. It's simple. This is like your black leather shoes that you wear with your suit. Yeah, it doesn't have like flowers or, you know, pink accents or whatever, but it does its purpose, which is to look good in a dressy way. So for that reason, I'm definitely going to give it 2 thumbs up. And if you'd like to buy it, click on the link in the description below and buy it at jazztime.com.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on show more to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.